and welcome to another episode. I know, now it's a thing because it's happened twice in a row. Welcome to High Octane Podcast, presented by Friday Night Fuel. My name is Zach, predictor of winners, Woods, and I got over here Ricky. He wins because I tell him to. Gonzalez. I'm so pumped for this show. Say hello to the internet, Ricky.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome in to episode 2, and as you can see from the title, predicting the future. You know, Zach, when I was writing the agenda today here at work, I was like, I got to think of a name, and all of a sudden it clicked, and I was like, predicting the future. This is what it's going to be. And sent you the agenda of what we were going to talk about today, and yeah, we ended up doing what you said, ended up winning the race, and just extremely excited, and yeah, we're in the playoffs. Hey, we go playoff racing now.
Hey, that's pretty cool. I see you, John, down there in the comments. Don't worry, boy, you're gonna get your flowers here midway through our time together tonight. We're geared up. We're ready to talk about the real hero behind the predictions coming true at Phoenix. Woo! Won't that be an episode at Michigan? John, we'll get to you here in a little bit. Let's have our flowers. So, welcome to episode 2 of High Octane Podcast. This is a podcast that's going to review the week that was in the iRacing League called Friday Night Fuel. You can see here we look a little bit different. We have our broadcast information listed up here on the top of the screen, so you will not miss a thing when it comes to when these awesome races hit the internet. You can tune in, you can watch, you can be a fan like I was last Friday and get geared up for tomorrow. We're going to preview a very unique race for Friday Night Fuel. Super excited, man, to talk about when all the stars come out, right? Next week, being able to make some changes to Friday Night Fuel, sort of midstream. We got some cool media to show you about some awesome adjustments to the All-Star race, and I'm really pumped for this show. Are you ready to go, Ricky?
Oh, let's get it going. Let's get it cranking. I'm ready to get all fueled up.
All right, let's hit the road and get a look back in the rearview mirror to the race that was at Michigan. If you missed it on Snake Bitten Gaming, you missed a awesome race filled with 3 and 4 wide racing. Next gen cars with an awesome setup were able to drive wherever they wanted to, and they put on a fantastic show as these drivers went toe to toe all night long on a Friday night, duking it out. It looked like a mini Talladega out there at times, but it was a lot of fun to watch as a fan, and we're going to get perspective here from the race winner here. Ricky, I guess let's talk about the winner first. So how was your race at Michigan? Last week we talked about the keys to victory with tire management and being able to get out of the airflow of drivers in front of you. How much did the things that we talked about last week play into some of your success at Michigan?
Yeah. For me, it was all about keeping the nose clean and keeping that clean air coming to the front of the race car. That way, you can still turn and do all your things in the corner. And for us, man, we try to do what we wanted to do. Try to determine our own fate. We wanted to lead laps. I didn't want to lead the most laps, but I wanted to be up front, see if we can stay away from the squirrels in the back. And we were able to get up front. Had a buddy of mine who's actually in the chat, John Goodkunst. Me and him kind of worked well together that whole race, so I guess non-affiliate teammates, and we just kind of worked our way through it. And at one point in the race, we were leading and got clipped in the left rear, and it kind of shot us with an opportunity to get stage points. And I know last week we talked about how pivotal that was from the team aspect of things, of what we do inside our race team, and that was unfortunate for us. And then we just came down and fixed the damage. Did what we can. We had about 40 seconds worth of damage, and then came down and just kind of made our way back to the front. Me and John were very methodical of what we wanted to do. Let the guys kind of burn their stuff up. A lot of side drafting during that racing last Friday night, and it came to the end and came down, slapped 4 tires on it with about 15 laps to go. And without John, I mean, I wouldn't be in victory lane. I said that in the interview. He gave me a big shot coming to the white flag. We crossed the line, heading into one, and I seriously thought John was going to make a move to the inside. That's his home racetrack, so I wouldn't have blamed him if he did make the move to get an extra win, and that would definitely lock him into the playoffs. If we have so many different winners that we talked about last week, if we get to that number 13, you know, who's in based on points. And so I thought he was going to make a move. He didn't. He kind of stayed in line, and the guys behind him just got arrow tied. And yeah, we were able to drive away, and especially after a week that was emotional for me on the personal side of things, and to come away, it just, man, that felt really good to come away with a win and be able to lock ourselves into the playoffs. So now the goal is to win more races. And I know this week doesn't really count for anything points wise, but yeah, we want to lead the most laps. I know we said we didn't want to do that, right? But go lead laps, go win races, get stage points, and now it's all about seeding from this point forward. So our goal, like I said, we're going to win multiple races. I believe, I said in the interview too, I believe we're going to be one of the 4 in that championship round. And then it's the gloves come off, and then boys have at it. And yeah, I just want to be there at the end of one of these playoff runs. You know me. That's the only thing that's holding me back as a championship, and so I definitely want to win something like that, just to say that I've done it.
Yeah, certainly some great points to be made coming out of Michigan. Momentum's a real deal, right? Even in the virtual racing world, where you come out and you make it a priority to go win a race, and now you're locked in, right? Now you are in just kill mode when it comes to every single race you're going out there. Yeah, you're going to race for points, right? Because it's always, I think, a little bit more fun to race for points. But at the end of the day, the only lap you care about leading from here on in is the last one, because that's the only thing that's going to matter come playoff time. So really interesting stuff to hear from you. Take a look here at the chat, see a couple other folks chiming in. Good to see you, Brett. Awesome to have you here. John, I see your feedback about the audio. I'm kind of flipping things around here on the fly. I have a different mic than what we used last week. I think the quality is a little bit better, but the audio gain is a little less. So keep that feedback going. If it's me where the audio is a little low, there's not a whole lot I can do other than maybe eat the mic. But but for Ricky, I could definitely keep turning him up. So let me know about the audio feedback there. You guys, it takes a village, man. So in order to build this thing, we need the feedback in order to make this show the best it can be. And let's talk about why Michigan, at least as a viewer, was one of the best races it could be. This car presented definitely a unique character, right, at this racetrack, where we talked about in the preview show, where clean air matters, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get away. Clean air just matters in terms of handling. And if you were back in the back, it would depend on your setup if you were able to maneuver through the field very well. And it looked like Friday Night Fuel came into Michigan with a really good maneuverable setup where any driver could put their car at any point in the racetrack and make valuable time.
Yeah, so for me, and we were talking, Zach, probably 15 minutes before this went live, and I told you, like, Michigan, you can never run the bottom of the racetrack on a normal iRacing default setup. And so with this setup, and shout out to Spencer Till for coming up with this and coming up with all the gadgets and gurus that needed to make this thing work. And then shout out also to the ALR boys. They helped us admin team. They helped the admin team test this week. And so Spencer gave them, I believe, 3 setups or 2 setups, and they picked one of which one they felt like would race the best. So appreciative of everybody that's, outside of the admin team and want to see this thing kind of just be successful. But yeah, Zach, we were able to sling the car to the bottom of the racetrack, and normally you slip and slide and you can't really do anything, and you don't feel anything in your wheel if you have the direct drive, which I have. And yeah, we were just able to stick the car and just get the power back and then run off. And then the guys were able to run outside near the wall and keep that momentum up and just plow down people down the back straightaway. And I went back and watched the stream, went and watched a couple of the Twitch guys who do their stream, and I mean, we were almost 205 miles an hour entering turns 1 and turns 3, and the way that setup worked, yeah, you just weren't able to pull away, and luckily for us at the end, we did something that nobody could do all night, and that was pull away to the checkered flag. But that setup, man, we got so many people that said that setup was amazing, that setup was great. And so to have something like that where it's a custom fix, and if anybody who's new to iRacing, it just means everybody has the same setup, but we just made minor modifications to it just so it could be drivable and raceable for us as league drivers. And yeah, it put on an awesome product. And you said it best. It felt like Talladega at times. And when I was in the moment, I didn't really understand it. But as soon as the race ended and I went back and watched multiple streams, and I thought to myself, actually, that yeah, looking back, that was a fun race to be a part of, and we're just lucky enough to come out on top.
Well, it was predestined that you would come out on top. But but one of the topics that we've talked about in our rundown, and just making sure that we cover a lot of different perspectives when it comes to Michigan, was the topic of rookies. And I talked about last week about how I didn't quite think that Michigan was a track where rookies could sort of figure it all out with the next gen car. We talked a lot about the dirt guys and making sure that tire management was a big deal, trying to deal with air management as well, kind of piecing all those little things together at a track like this with guys who are super experienced. That's a tall order in order to go and make something happen. So at least for me, my expectation of the rookie class at this track was pretty low. I didn't have a lot of expectations for them going in. But Ricky, it turned out that the rookies were pretty sporty at Michigan.
Yeah, some of them were up there at the stage break. I know the 16 of Landon was up there majority of that race. And come to find out, he's a fellow Texan, and so now I'm shooting myself in the foot for not even helping a fellow Texan. And I don't know, I don't know if that's a Texas thing or what, but he has San Antonio Karting Complex where I've been to and done karting multiple times, and to look over and see that emblem on the race car and come to find out you didn't work with him, you know, that kind of eats you up a little bit, right? But, you know, as a team, there is an agenda, and he unfortunately, he doesn't have a team. So not a lot of people worked with him, I don't think, all night. And, man, he was up there. He led laps. He was battling my brother for the stage win. I believe the margin of victory for the stage win was .001. And so, you know, that helps Mark, obviously, for the point stuff, but it also helps Landon with, you know, 9 extra points in the bag for that race at Michigan. But yeah, it was crazy to see Landon up there bat fast all night. I mean, he just made moves and stuck it in places where I think we tried to shut the door on him multiple times, and oh no, that nose is there, and he found his way to the front multiple times and led a bunch of laps. And so yeah, that kind of surprised me to see how quick that 16 car is. So he might be my dark horse as a guy that is going to be a race winner eventually at some point in the season, and could be possibly racing for a championship when it's all said and done.
That's a pretty bold prediction coming out of you. So good stuff. It was really cool to be able to watch. For me, as somebody who knows some of the field for Friday Night Fuel, obviously not being able to race, not knowing the whole field for Friday Night Fuel, seeing different guys in different numbers with different paint schemes sort of make their way up to the front. And as somebody who knows folks like John and Brett and John Garrett and you and see those folks that I don't know, as a guy that is on the outside looking in, I go, wow, like here's a guy I know nothing about that is doing pretty good, and he stacks up well against drivers who are really competitive. It just shows the parity in this league. I know we talked about it last week, Ricky, with all the different winners. Friday Night Fuel's got a really special thing going on right now with all new different winners. It just seems like everybody has a chance to be competitive. It's a really, really cool place to be in a league where across the iRacing server, you have difficulty finding leagues that present this kind of opportunity for new people to come in and have instant success.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it. Like, we have so much competition, and you touched it, where anybody can win. And we said it last week. I really believe nobody's going to win more than 3 or 4 races. I think 2 should be your magic number, especially if you want to solidify that spot in the playoffs. You know, some of the ALR guys haven't won. I know they're bad fast. Some of the 1776 guys haven't won. I know they're fast. JST, if Spencer can get off work every now and then, I know he's bad fast. John T. Garrett's bad fast. There's a lot of people that are really really quick. And you know, some of us at Titletown, we're quick. I know if your guys show up, I know Cody's fast, Paul's fast. I know Modspa had some internet problems going on last Friday night, so he was unfortunate for him to not be able to race. But I mean, there's a lot of parity, like you said, in this league, and I believe the magic number should probably be 2 or 3, and that's what I love about it. You're not gonna watch a race and know this guy going into it is going to win, and he's not going to dog walk the field and lap multiple people and lead every lap but 5, right? There's going to be so many of us that are just competitive that want to try to take the lead and take control of the race and then just kind of go from there. But I think when we roll into what we're going to talk about later on and preview the All-Star race, I believe this is a different aspect of what makes Friday Night Fuel so special, of having a group of admins that are willing to just take a risk and see, hey, this is what we want to do for this. Let's do it this way. Let's do it. Let's try it. Let's see. The only thing you can do is try it, and if it fails, it fails. You learn from it, and then we try something again next season and kind of just roll the dice. So I guess Viva Las Vegas, just roll the dice to see what it looks like and go from there. But yeah, it's definitely a crazy league so far. We're not even halfway through the year yet.
Yeah, really cool. And see John in the chat saying, for real though, the top 15 aren't separated by much at all. Yeah, he's right. Whether you're in the car, you're on, or if you're like me watching from the outside looking in, that's very clear. I mean, the parity in this league is unbelievable. One of the ways we get to know parity in leagues is through points, and we're going to bring them up here on the screen. Ricky, you're going to be able to talk us through what we see here, because for anybody who might be new to us, first time, I know you've missed so much, 1 week worth of material, but just a quick explanation for Friday Night Fuel points. In order to lock yourself into the playoffs, you need a win. And if you go over to the win column in our points, you're going to see that, well, a lot of people have a win. And it just continues to be a streak of new winners here, thanks to you, and partially thanks to me. But we'll chalk that up for Zach Ego right there. But walk us through the points here, Ricky. Kind of paint the picture for us as we head into the All-Star break. What's going on here for points?
Yeah. So for our points this season, and John Gudekunst, another admin who's in our chat right now too, he came up with a point system. So I believe we're doing the real life NASCAR point system currently in the 2024 season, and then he has where if you have a 0x, you get an extra bonus point. If you lead a lap, you get an extra bonus point. Lead the most laps, you get an extra bonus point. And then obviously you have your stage points that come in at the halfway break. So the guys who finish in the top 10 at the halfway break, they will automatically get these points added to their end of race total. So it goes from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, all the way down to 10th, which would receive 1. And then, for me, looking at this graphic, I think the most consistent driver that I've seen all year long is the guy who's leading the points. That'll be John. I know I said we're probably one of the favorites to win the championship. He's probably up there as well. He's probably one of the favorites to win this thing too. And I know John. He's very competitive. He wants to be up front at all times, and I just know that he's going to be there at the end. And he's one of the guys that I know that doesn't really race competitors. He has his own plan and his own agenda. So yeah, look for that 41 to be definitely at the top of the charts when it comes to these finishes. Another couple drivers I'm looking at, Brett in the 12. Got the AOR boys, Bryce and Marcus. I know those two guys are bad fast. What surprises me is the guy in the 6th position. That's Kirby Caputa. Kirby was a rookie last year, new to iRacing. I believe he came over from the NASCAR heat side of things on the console side, and asked a bunch of questions to his team last year of hey, I'm doing this wrong. Am I doing that wrong? What should I do better? And I know me and him have been in a couple practice sessions. I give him a thing or two, but you can't give him the whole tea because that's how you get beat. But yeah, to see Kirby in 6th. Mark had a bad finish last week, got caught up in an accident in turn 3 on the white flag. So that kind of left him to where he was. And yeah, Wes, Nate, Ryan. I mean, looking at the top 12, Chris Pindell, he had a terrible week last week. I believe that was probably one of the worst races he has ever had on the server. I remember one point he came over the radio and he just wanted to get that thing over with and move on to next week. But yeah, I think anybody in the top 11, and the guy that's sitting in 14th, I think he's one of the ones that'll probably move up a couple spots once we get after this All-Star break. Um, Mark Parkhurst, he's quick. Spencer Till, John Bell's getting better. I believe if Cam Bennett and Eric Hudson can come back, those guys are bad fast as well. And so, yeah, we have so much parity, man, and so much talent that I believe, yeah, and unfortunately, our defending champion's not in this season, but yeah, we're gonna have a new champion. But there's so many people on that list, man, that I think could win a race to lock themselves in as well.
John says, poor Chris. I've raced with him for 4 years, and that's the worst race I've ever seen for him. I felt so bad for him. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's just not your night, right? And the luck doesn't fall your way, and you gotta be the one griping and grumbling all the way back to the hauler. So hopefully there's a quick turnaround next week. See some other guys here in the chat. David Mayo, one of the guys that I've grown very fond of racing with, really clean. I mean, he's like the epitome of the guy I want to race around. David's in the chat. Brett has also been here. Brett also mentioned Kirby did win Rookie of the Year last year, so there's some pedigree there to be found with Kirby that translates right from last year to this year. That kind of growth that we expect to see from drivers that stick around in this league. We want to see growth from every single participant, and let's talk about people that maybe we're going to be talking about next year, right, as the Season 2 growth. Let's break down the Rookie of the Year chase here for the points. We've mentioned a few names, and we're able to go through a bulk of the points. But last week, Ricky, we talked about how this Rookie of the Year chase is already a really close, highly contested thing that these folks are going after, and it could mean success later on down the road.
Right. Yeah. And so, yeah, we went over those rookie drivers. So if you haven't checked out episode 1, please go do so. We talk about that class of who those drivers are. But yeah, going back to this driver, the 16, that just surprised the heck out of me at Michigan, seeing how fast he was up front. Jacob Stefanski was up there before me and him got into our incident right before the stage break. Jim Oot had a family emergency, so he was unable to grid and not race with us. Wade was up there. There were a lot of rookies that just surprised the heck out of me that I had no idea were that fast and were able to maintain with some of our fast guys. So, yeah, very, very ecstatic to see some of these rookies compete. I'm trying to compare the graphic to the points and what I'm looking at on my screen of the rookie class. And I believe, yeah, Chris Pendell seems to be leading the rookie class right now. So it's crazy, man. It's crazy to see all these rookies up here, and I know that graphic can change in a weekly basis. So those guys, you just got to keep your head down, keep motoring to the front, good stage points, get a good finish, and then yeah, ultimately, I think that consistency will pay off, like we see with Kirby. Kirby came in not very consistent last season, got into a couple wrecks. Me and him got into it at Charlotte. Unfortunately, it wasn't on purpose if he's watching. But, yeah, you could see the growth from Season 1 to Season 2, right, from Kirby. That's what the expectation is for these drivers that are in the rookie class now, and I believe Landon is going to take that step. I've already made the prediction. I think he's going to be in victory lane 1 point this season, and maybe some of these other guys could possibly get it, especially if you're at a plate track where anything can happen. Who knows? That's a perfect opportunity for a rookie to end up in victory lane.
Well, we're about halfway fueled up. We got Michigan now in the rearview mirror. Now let's look forward to Friday Night Fuel's All-Star Race. There's been some big changes going on in the admin chat over what the All-Star Race for Friday Night Fuel looks like. We cannot wait to share them with you. It's going to be so much fun to break down the All-Star Race this season. And Ricky, we're at the Rock going toe-to-toe for an All-Star title. What does racing at the Rock mean for these drivers who maybe grew up in the golden era of NASCAR watching that play out on their screens at home?
Sure. For me, it's the throwback. This place is so meaningful to the history of NASCAR in real life, and and to go back and have Friday Night Fuel do a race at the Rock, even though it's not for points. We see it in real life with North Wilkesboro Speedway now. And so for us to choose the Rock, we didn't want to do a short track. Our original plan was to do Kern County, Kevin Harvick's Kern County, a dirt race. Again, I know there's some dirt guys in here, and every time we do an all-star race, they want to use a dirt track, which is fine. I just won't show up because I'm not that fast on dirt. But after talking with some of the admins, we just wanted to make it consistent where it is on asphalt, and it's unfortunate we're not going to Kern. Also, Kern is a small dirt track. I don't believe it would put on a good show for the amount of race cars that we have in this league, and to have 20 cars on such a small dirt track, it would have been chaos, and we would have been there till midnight. With the way the dirt rules are, and you don't count caution laps, and this guy gets a wave around, and we got to wave him around, and it's too much for John while he's in the car to try to hit buttons and wave people by, and so we just wanted to make it easy. So yeah, we came up with the Rock, and this place is really, really special. I believe the last Cup race was in 2004, maybe 2003. So to go back in this new car, the next gen, which I believe in the next couple of seasons, they should go back to the Rock in real life. If they repave it, do some upgrades to the facility. I can see the Cup Series going there and doing their all-star race. I mean, it's literally in North Carolina, the backyard of all the race teams. But for us, yeah, we just wanted something that was a throwback to pay homage to the pioneers of the sport. And we're doing that this week. And we have an interesting set of rules that we have for qualifying procedure. And Zach, I know you're going to go over that. Also, Brett, shout out to you. You made an awesome tutorial video of what you were going to expect. And Zach, I know you're probably going to play it. So yeah, I'm very ecstatic to go there and see what we can do. We did that race in another league, and we won that on fuel mileage. So I know that's not going to be a fuel mileage race this week. It's going to be 120 laps, 100 lap first stage, and then it's just going to be a 20 lap mad dash to the finish. And I can just see chaos ensuing like it was at Michigan with being more aggressive and people dive bombing and whatnot. And this place too, multiple lanes. You can run the high side in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Where are you going to chew up tire running the outside, or are you just going to conserve and stay to the bottom and take the shortest way around the track? So yeah, it's going to be a different race. It'll be different strategies played out like we saw last week too. And again, I always say this, you got to be there at the end. If you're there at the end, you have a chance at winning.
Absolutely, and it's all bragging rights coming to the All-Star race, so there's no points involved. It's just the glory of being the All-Star at Friday Night Fuel for this season. You do, goodness gracious, what was that coming out of my mouth? We do have a video. I get one a show, Ricky. I get one a show. We have a awesome video brought to you by Brett Bullard, who's one of the drivers for Friday Night Fuel, was able to put together a really, really nice sort of, it feels like a NASCAR 2003 tutorial video on how to race the game, but it's an awesome video that sort of explains what Friday Night Fuel is doing to set themselves apart when it comes to their all-star format. We're going to show that to you right now.
Welcome to the Friday Night Fuel instructional video for our All-Star event. Today, we'll be walking you through the format for our upcoming event, ensuring that all participants are fully prepared for a smooth and competitive day. You will start by doing a normal outlap. Once you have crossed the start-finish line, your time starts. You will enter the pit lane on the backstretch off of turn 2. You will head to the first pit stall at any rate of speed you can control. You will do a stop and go in the first pit stall. All tires must be within the box, and you must come to a complete stop. Then you will get back on track and race to the start-finish line. You are not allowed to go below the yellow line on the front stretch. Your time will be disqualified. Also, please do not make another lap. Come to a stop and reset. If you stop outside of the box, you will be issued a 5-second penalty. Next, we will show you a few examples.
You dumbass. You dumbass.
This is what a run should look like, from start to finish. Thank you for watching this instructional video from Friday night. Fuel.
Well then, that was quite the video. We apologize if we cut that video maybe a little bit too short. Right when I clicked off of it, I thought to myself, I wonder if the narrator actually talks over the Friday Night Fuel logo at the end. I'm pretty sure he does, but a little bit of a glimpse behind the curtain. When we play you videos, when we play you the intro, we can't hear anything. So there you go. Now you know. Ricky, I'm going to turn you back on so you're able to talk. But now you know that for us, it's a little bit of a guessing game when it comes to different videos being played here. So my bad. I did say I get one, but I'm the one pushing the buttons. I should get two. So let's talk about, Ricky, what it takes to win at Rockingham. Like you said, 100 laps, which is their first stage. Drivers are going to get to know each other, get to know the track very well. It's going to be all take all the time with this format. These drivers are going to be super competitive, vying for track position. That matters because if you're desperate and you need to make up time on that high line, you're going to chew up your stuff really quick. You have to put yourself in a good spot for that 20-lap dash at the end. What are some drivers for you to watch here at Rockingham?
Oh man, yeah, that's obviously the ALR boys. Those guys are going to be bad fast. I believe they did a little bit of testing this week. I think the 1776 guys, any one of those drivers, I believe, can win. Me and Mark, I think we have a chance. Maybe if we're there, if we don't get taken out like we did in stage one last week, and I believe if Mark doesn't get turned, he probably has a top 10 and sitting up there higher in the points. And then obviously this place is notorious. I know we talked about tire wear last week at Michigan, where it doesn't eat up tire the way that you thought it would. But this place, it's like Darlington. It's just gonna eat your tires, eat your tires, eat your tires. And one lap you feel like you're doing an okay job of saving tire, and then the next lap you're just plowing tight. And for the viewers who don't know what plowing tight is, it just means the front end of the race car just wants to move to the outside wall. And so you'll hear me and Zach use this term as this show continues, tight and loose. And so loose is when the back end of the race car wants to come out from under you and it just wants to do a donut, either mid corner or exit of the corner. And so this place is notorious of being just a tight setup, no matter what you do to the race car. And got to play with the throttle a little bit. So that's where I think the dirt guys have an advantage. They're used to the throttle management. And so, yeah, you just got to be patient with this thing. And then for me, it's going to not to butcher qualifying. I'll be honest, Zach, I have yet to turn a lap at the Rock just because of how work has been this week. And so we'll probably get some laps in tomorrow afternoon, a little bit lunchtime. I'll probably skip lunch and do a little bit of racing just to gauge what I need to do as far as brake bias, and if I turn it down to move the brakes so the car can stop quicker. And then obviously the launch, getting out of the box as fast as we can and getting back on the racetrack to the banking. You heard the tutorial, can't use the apron. I know at the Roval, some of the drivers in qualifying did use the apron for that. So it's going to be pivotal coming off of 3, how much momentum you have coming to the line to see where you stack up as far as where you're going to have your pit selection. So for the viewers who don't know, your qualifying order is basically your pit stall selection. So if you're first, you have the number 1 pit stall. If you're 20th, you have the 20th pit stall. And so for me, I try to be in the top 5. That way I know exactly where the box is. I know where my sign is, but I just need to pinpoint where the box is. And if you're in like the 10, 12, 15 range, it's kind of hard to pinpoint where your box is, especially with drivers being able to drive through them to get to your box, and you can just lose it and it messes your timing up. You overshoot the box, and now you're losing more positions on pit road. So, yeah, this qualifying format's going to be different for me. Coming down at 100 mile an hour to a complete stop, so going from 100 to 0, that's going to be hard, and then mashing the gas to get back out on the racetrack. So it'll be fun for the broadcast, I believe. Something different that we've wanted to do. We wanted to implement sort of a pit stop competition. I guess this is sort of it without doing the actual pit stop, right? So unfortunately, iRacing, every time you come to pit road on the front stretch, it just reset your time. And so John found a loophole where we use the back stretch, and thankful that Rockingham has a backstretch pit road. And yeah, we're just going to come down, stop in that first pit box, and get in, get out as fast as we can. And hopefully we're sitting on pole. And lucky for me, since we won the race, I get to go last. So I'll get to see 23 drivers, if they're there, go through and see kind of where their breaking points are and kind of do a little bit of homework before we jump in the car and go try to make a shot at the pole.
Well, I think you pretty much covered all the keys to the race there, Ricky. You did a really good job at making sure that being smart here, but also being aggressive is going to be the key when it comes to not just the race, but qualifying, which is a unique wrinkle here for Friday Night Fuel's All-Star Race. A special note here from John when it comes to the format of the race that might promote some views over at Snake Bitten Gaming. You can see that info right up there at the top corner of the screen. A special note to anyone watching, there's going to be more than 2 fast repairs for this race. And I think that's fair, because at the All-Star Race, Ricky, the only thing that matters is the checkered flag. If the old saying is, if you don't get the flag, it's either that or the steering wheel, and that's all that's appropriate to bring home when it comes to going toe-to-toe at an All-Star Race.
Yeah, and so for the viewers also, this is also an educational podcast where if you're not into racing, we kind of go over the aspects of what that racing terminology is. So what John's referring to is 2 fast repairs. So if you get caught up in a wreck and your car is just absolutely destroyed, bring it down to pit road. There's a button in your black box where drivers see in their race car where you can, add tires, add fuel, less fuel, no tires. And there's a selection at the bottom that says fast repaired. So when you come down to your pit selection, when you come down to the crew that are on pit road, it's able to automatically fix that car, and it's a brand new race car. So we'll have 2 of those. So if we get caught up in 2 separate incidences where the car is it's junk and you can't drive it, come down, take those, and then now we're back in the game, and hopefully we don't go a lap down, or anybody goes a lap down. And I don't know if John plans on doing like waiver rounds and all that stuff. Haven't had a chance. He did call me today, and I didn't call him back. Spending some time downstairs with spending some time downstairs with Morgan and just trying to spend some quality time with her. And so yeah, apologies, John, I didn't call you back, but yeah, this is going to be a fun race for sure. And for me, you said it best. It's either the checkered flag or it's going to be this thing that's right here, the steering wheel that's coming back. And
He's got props. He's got props, everybody.
Yeah, it's either put it back on the record or I'm going home and coming in first. So that's the mindset that you got to have when it comes to these All-Star races, and it's bragging rights. You get to have bragging rights for the week. So fortunately for us, we have that with the win at Michigan. But when you win, it just carries momentum through the season. So if we can go 2 for 2, I think that'll be great. But I have 0 expectations for this race, and we're just going to go in and try to I don't know, come out on top.
Well, we've now hit the part in the show, Ricky, where I can hide no longer, and we're the final thing that we do every week when it comes to covering Friday Night Fuel is Ricky talked about this last week because he races. He took this from College Game Day, right? If you're commentating the game, or in Ricky's case, if you're racing in the race, you don't pick the winner. You let somebody else who's not participating do that. And Unfortunately, I'm the go-getter when it comes to our expectations here for the High Octane podcast, and I was rooting so hard for Ricky. I woke up the dogs, I woke up my wife, I woke up my children, and I was downstairs just hooting and hollering, and it worked, and my prediction came through, and this is the week where I get to brag all about it. But you know what, Ricky? I'm going to say, with a bit of a caveat here, this isn't a points-paying race, so I reserve the right to say if I get this wrong, this doesn't count. So, but
Fair.
I'm gonna try my best. He's been very active in the chat tonight, folks, and I think I thought about this before the podcast started. It's actually been on my mind quite a bit today because I'm like, oh man, how am I going to back up picking the winner last week? And then now we're going to go to a race where there's no rules and everybody's going to try gunning for a win. And so I thought to myself, who are the drivers out here that are super aggressive, that will make sure that they don't play nice in a race, that it counts. It counts for bragging rights, but there shouldn't be any animosity, right, between one race to the next. Sometimes we get in fender benders with folks during the season, and we remember that. We shouldn't have that mentality for an all-star race. That's my humble opinion. So who are folks out here in this league that are going to be super aggressive? He's been super active in the chat. He's an admin. And he's a guy that I've had the fine privilege of wrecking a time or two. I'm picking John Gutekunst to win the All-Star race. Look, I'm a man of faith, and I think that good deeds are eventually rewarded. John bailed me, and I guess we can lump you in there too. He bailed us both out last week in providing a way where Ricky wins for Michigan last week. I think he's going to get rewarded when it comes to an all-star victory. I'm picking John to go and take it. Going to break the streak, technically, of drivers who have now going to repeat wins. He's going to be our first repeat winner, if what I say happens. But that's where I'm going. I think John is aggressive enough and smart enough to keep his car together to the very end to put himself in good enough position to take advantage of whatever might come his way in the last couple laps of the All-Star race at the Rock.
Yeah, that's a solid pick. There's a lot of drivers that I thought you were gonna pick, and when you said aggressive, the first driver that came to mind was Bryce. So I think Bryce, if he doesn't get caught up in multiple wrecks at Michigan, I said it in the interview too. I think he's going to be the one in victory lane instead of me. And yeah, John, I did forget when we talked about Michigan. If John doesn't push me in turn one, we don't win this race. And so grateful to have him push the 7 all the way to victory lane. And I know how bad he wanted to win, especially at Michigan. So if we go to Texas and he's in front of me, I got to return the favor. That's just what friends do. And you just tip the hat. And that's a tremendous pick, Zach. And a guy that suits this track. We talked about the dirt side. He's a dirt racer also. I believe he's smart enough to save his tires. He's smart enough to not put himself in awkward situations when it comes to battling people and certain things. And he's a driver that I believe could be there at the end. And yeah, that's a great pick. That's a great solid pick, I think, to be our first repeat winner. Technically repeat winner, but it's not for points. So is it really a repeat winner? You know what I mean?
Well, I see the chat really going off here, making a couple predictions. We have a couple folks that agree with Bryce. Christopher Pendel's another pick coming in from Spencer Teal, first time in the chat. Good to see Spencer here, and awesome to be able to hear from you guys. To talk about the week that was in Michigan and to look forward to the week that will be Friday Night Fuel All-Star at the Rock. Ricky, you have any final words for tonight for the folks that are watching?
Yeah, just appreciative of you guys tuning in as well. I know John's in there with some of our drivers. He's chilling in their Discord right now having this up, and I know they do multiple things throughout the week where, they watch movies and stuff. So building that camaraderie with our drivers, appreciative of what those admins are doing to make sure our drivers are locked in, and if they need help, that's what we're here for as an admin group, is just to help people and get them better, right? So appreciate everybody watching, tuning in. Thank you for making this thing work. Zach, we got a lot of views. I think I checked earlier this afternoon. On the last video, we had like 70 something views. So it's cool to see that people are watching, people are tuning in to see what we got going on. And hopefully if they do tune into this podcast, they're gaining interest to possibly come and join our league for season 3. So right now we're not taking any other drivers for right now. And yeah, last thing, I'm working on something where we possibly could have a sponsorship for the podcast. So yeah, some good things are coming. Even though it's only 2 episodes in, I believe this thing is going to take off and just help the growth of the league. And this is just another platform that we use to try to show you guys what iRacing is all about. So very, very appreciative. Thanks to you, my friend, for jumping on. I know it's 10:45 your time, so appreciative of you and doing this and setting everything up. And yeah, we'll go this week at the Rock and see if we can get another checkered flag.
I'm honored to do this with you. I'm honored to be in some small way still a part of Friday Night Fuel. We hope you guys enjoyed the show. You're all fueled up. You're ready to go. Make sure you gear up for tomorrow. Tune in to Snake Bitten Gaming in order to find out who wins the All-Star race at the Rock for Friday Night Fuel. My name is Zach, and for my partner Ricky, have a good night, everybody. Thank you for watching.